Hi guys, welcome. I am Alyze Sam, and Anne is actually running my slides for me. So thank you so much. I'm here today to talk to you about privacy and security in Web3. So if you don't mind switching that over, Anne, for me, thank you. So, what do you need to know about privacy and security in Web3? Well, first, we're going to start off with the history on how to protect yourself for your businesses, your customers. And as this technology keeps continuing to grow, this is getting more and more important every day. Can you switch the slide, please? Thank you. I have a brief introduction to me, and you can switch that one more time. I'm Alyze Sam. I like to tell people I got into blockchain by accident. I got hit by a semi truck, and Dmitry Buterin, Vitalik's father of Ethereum, trained me in blockchain. I was picked up and ran around with Team McAfee Boys for a while and learned privacy and security. I'm an author. I own an incubator with my two best friends, and we like to sling financial education and also fix a lot of things in the space. We just launched last week a gold back deflationary token. So we're all over the place. We love the industry. If you don't mind switching for me, here's a couple of my books. Reach out to me if you'd like a free copy. And let's get started into privacy now. Oh, well, and there's some more projects. Sorry. This was slides for the Dubai Chamber of Commerce. So I apologize for that. All right, go ahead. Now let's define history and secure or privacy and security. So there's a big difference actually between security and privacy. Online security is aimed at safeguarding data, whereas digital privacy is the sole authority to have private data and information. Now, security is the protection from the resilience against the potential harm caused by others. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that people are actually trying to harm you. It could be a scoffer type of situation where businesses are willingly ignorant. And we're going to talk about how we can get out of being willingly ignorant behind privacy and security in Web3 and also in Web2 today. So, security aims to safeguard sensitive data and information from access, and any security approach addresses either or all of these objectives. And that's very important to remember. We'll go ahead and switch the slides, please. So we're going to talk about the security timeline. There's a big history in this, and we're going to kind of go through these slides very fast because this is an hour-long presentation. We're going to cut it up really short. So if you guys want a copy of these slides and information, please just reach out to me, and I'll give you a link so that you have access to them. So security has a long history. It actually started in 1960 with an engineer, Paul Barn. And as the internet started to develop and communication started going online digitally with the packet switching in 1968, security and privacy started to kind of diminish over time very quickly. The internet has expanded very, very, very fast. And few has actually been able to predict the inauguranus that is just massively blown out. And so security and privacy have been an afterthought since then. We'll go ahead and switch. So here is, and like I said, we're just going to really run through this. I'm not going to take you through each story, but the birth of the internet actually started in 1983. So who's here is 80 babies? You guys remember being online? Good for you. We've kind of seen a lot of change in the last couple of years. So, and then encryption started in actually 1978. We're going to go ahead and skip through these. Computer Fraud and Abuse Act started in 1986. So we had from the 60s when we started doing like packet communication and processing until the 80s. So, almost 90 or I'm sorry, almost 30 years later, we are still, not having any type of abuse from fraud or digital acts. So in 1986, they started to make laws that were going to help. And in 1988, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but there was actually the first conviction under Abuse Act and fraud that happened back then, and that made world news. We'll go ahead and switch. The web became animated in 1996. Who here was on MySpace? Yeah, good. All of you needed to be. Tom is still your best friend. The internet no longer became a fad in 2003. And actually, it was like a really great magazine came out in Time magazine. And it was funny. It was in 1998. And it said the internet is just a fad. It was a big, big deal. And they said that nobody would catch on. We were always going to be interconnected. And the internet was just going to be a passing factor. And after COVID, we know that that's just not true anymore. So insecurity spreads in 2000 when more and more viruses started coming up. So in 2007, we saw the first the first mobile device and have security issues. So that was revolutionary for a lot of people. They knew that they needed to act fast and start putting in protocols and stuff to protect people. Okay, we'll go ahead and switch. So the first car hacking was in 2014. People are just talking about their Teslas now, being hacked and stuff, but that's actually been going on for a while. So we are really, really, really stressed out about the state of privacy and security in the world. Implementing hardware and software solutions and using human intervention to monitor the network continually for two of the best ways and keep us up to date is the only thing that we can do right now. We're going to go ahead and switch. So if you can't be a you always, this is really great. Always be yourself unless you can be a cybersecurity expert, and then you can be awesome. So always take any cybersecurity expert advice that you can find and use it like it's life or death situation. We'll go ahead and switch. Now we're going to go really fast through privacy. And I have to apologize to you guys. I'm not feeling the greatest. I was actually in a major car accident. My driver had a heart attack last night. And so I had to safely wreck our vehicle. So I apologize for being completely disheveled and not completely here. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. And I appreciate you being empathetic to me right now. So a few attempts have been made to clearly and precisely define the right to privacy, which is really odd because there's a long history of privacy. We'll go ahead and skip through this. What is privacy? It's actually the right just to be left alone. Like if you want to say, I want to be left alone on Facebook, you have the right to be left alone. And privacy is actually a very basic element to being alive. We all should have access to that. It's a human right. Please switch. So why does a right to privacy matter? Well, privacy matters because good privacy rules can promote essential human values for human identity, political freedom, and consumer protection. If we want to preserve all the commitments in these precious yet fragile values, we will need privacy rules. You go ahead and switch. Thank you. Society with a total lack of privacy would be absolutely intolerable. Further, a civilization possessing complete privacy would not allow for any community, business, or cultural growth. I mean, think about that. We really have a due diligence here to figure out what the fine line is between basic rights to privacy and security, and then also getting out there, because the internet is what connects us. Web3 is going to make all of us accessible to each other, but we've got to be really careful about what information is actually out there. And what's really great about Web3 is NFTs give us some anonymity, which is really wonderful. We'll go ahead and switch this. So does everybody deserve a right to privacy? If your data is stolen without consent, by definition, you've been violated. And this is all women, and so we're talking about being violated. I know that sticks near and dear to you. I wasn't allowed to say that at the Dubai Chamber of Commerce, but I want to, because people need to know how sensitive your right to privacy and your personal data is. We'll go ahead and skip. I'm going to go ahead and skip this because I've already really kind of put the violation word out there. Now let's go through this privacy timeline real fast here. So actually, privacy started back in the 12th century, but it wasn't until the U.S. Constitution actually gave us the first actual law there. And the right to privacy is in the first Constitution. It's noted in the First, Third, and Fourth, and Fifth Amendments, all of those. Go ahead and switch. Harvard Law in 1890 gave us the right to be left alone. There was establishment in the FCT. So, I mean, we're talking about having a right to privacy, since the way before the industrial age, but nobody's really done anything about it. That's kind of concerning in my opinion. In 1970, they said you can't open other people's mail. That's really nice. Thank you for that. We'll go ahead and switch. And then George Orwell writes in 1984, the future that we're living in today, which is a problem. So the UN declared human rights in 1948. Go ahead and switch. And then William L. Professor published The Privacy Torts in 1968. And this is still a huge basis of what we go to for understanding of privacy. And it's really fantastic. I pray that you pick that up. Also, Alan Weston's Privacy and Freedom as well. You can get a great understanding about what your rights are, the future of privacy, and what freedom really entails and what you're getting taken away. One thing that I really want to note and why privacy is so important and why they need to utilize it really great in Web 2 before we even get into Web 3 is because, I mean, think about it, social media. Since a lot of us in the audience here are women, I'll share a little personal story here. I had a miscarriage. We miscarried twins about 6 years ago. And, I was looking at baby stuff, and Facebook for over a year was trying to sell me stuff for my dead babies. And, if I had a right to privacy, I don't think that I would have emotionally had to experience that. And that's abuse. These people are really, for lack of better words, they're raping us into buying things and doing things that we don't want to do. We're being brainwashed. We have a right to privacy. We have a right to not share the information. And these books really talk in grave detail about that before we even knew this was going to be a huge problem. Go ahead and switch, please. The UN or the EU has the right to be forgotten. You can go ahead and skip through this. I'm going to send you guys out if you request all this information just because we don't have enough time here. So in 1995, the EU Data Protection Directive came about. The EU has some of the best privacy laws that there are out there in the world. Definitely look into that. Go ahead and skip through here a little bit more. There we go. Now, this is really important. So the first chief privacy officer did not fully emerge until 1999. Like I told you guys, like we had switching packets back in the 60s, and the governments were using to transact, data through that, but we didn't have a privacy officer until 1999. That is absolutely terrifying. And if you guys are starting businesses and stuff, you definitely in Web3, you need a privacy advisor, and you should do something that we're going to talk about here in a second. Privacy by design. Go ahead and skip through here. 2023 and beyond. Like I said, it's becoming more and more problem every single day. The more and more information that's uploaded on the internet, the more and more security risks that there are going to be. Users demand freedom from intrusion. That's huge. Like it's absolutely huge. We feel like the government says and dictates everything that we absolutely can do, like how often we can change our underwear and stuff. So why does Mark Zuckerberg need to know about all that? It's absolutely not fair, and we don't need to live in a world like that. So we need to act together in order to establish a really great safe Web3 for us. Go ahead and switch. Privacy laws around the world. These are really fantastic to look into. The personal data protection law in 2008. Everybody was really shocked that came about in India before anybody else. Really fantastic. Cybersecurity law in China, the data privacy in 2012 in the Philippines. So people all around the world, after the 2005 era, they really started to take note after this, and they're like, man, we really got to start doing something. Go ahead and switch. There's a couple more of these charts, but we're going to go through these really fast. You can skip this too. Knowing Web 2, Web 3, or Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. So you guys all know, you've been through this. Web 1 is e-commerce and all of that. It's a very static web. Web 2 is the sharing economies. That's what we're using today. Social media, it's respondable. And then Web 3, you guys all know because you're here what Web 3 is. It's, personal identity, tokens, governance, taxation of speculation, and so much more. So hows and whys of privacy in Web3. This is the most important part, and we're going to get through this really quick so that you guys can get on with your fantastic day and the rest of the amazing speakers here. Something that I teach on everywhere. Like I said, I spoke at the Dubai Chamber of Commerce, and this is really big for them, and me too, because I didn't know about privacy by design until recently, the last few years. It was actually invented by a woman because, we rule the world in Canada. And privacy by design is actually going in before you build your project and you think about security, and it's not a second afterthought. That's the simplest way to explain it. Privacy by design. When you want to make a Web3 thing, you go in and you made a marketplace. Let's say you made a marketplace, and you've got this really great idea, and you've got all this niches and natches that are really great, and you can plug in your API and all this fantastic stuff, and it's going to be revolutionary and change the world. But then after you get all the development done and stuff, one of your funders asks you, what are your privacy? Like, what are your privacy and security? What does that look like? And you're like, I'll be right back, and then we go and we try to do everything because we didn't think about that. A lot of you guys are visionaries, you're founders, and you're not crafted in very experienced in privacy and security. So you're not thinking about that. You're really trying to change the world in a different way. And so what we try to do is we try to encourage people to go in there and really think about privacy and security as you're building this, because one, it's going to save you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. If you screw up and you have a security breach and you release people's data, so that's really important. We'll go ahead and switch the page. You can go ahead and switch it. So privacy by design, like I said, was developed by Anne Courier, and it advances the view that the future of privacy cannot be assured solely by the compliance with legislation and regulatory frameworks. Privacy ensures that it must become an organization's default mode of operation. Now, the privacy by design framework employs an approach that is characterized by proactive rather than reactive measures. Like I said, you go in beforehand, you build up your privacy and security, and then you put your project on top of it. Privacy by design does not wait for privacy risks to materialize, nor does it offer remedies for resolving privacy infractions once they occur. So you built your entire basis model built on safety and security. And I mean, think about that. Like, you try to provide that things for your children and your family. So why wouldn't you do that with your digital life? I mean, think about it. You're talking about credit cards. You're talking about social security number. You're talking about your name, your good name that you worked for your whole life. And you're talking about pictures and stuff. They're obtaining all this stuff from you, and they're monetizing off of you, and they're putting this information into terrible things, and they're also brainwashing you to buy things. So definitely don't be a part of that. Definitely build up your privacy and security before you go into building your Web3 protocols and solutions. You can go ahead and skip. So the privacy element that I'm working on is the OnionClub.io. I'm a co-founder. It's a big build. It's a big desire to try to change the world, but building a social media and Web3 e-commerce based on privacy and security. We implement things like Signal and other protocols that are really great and safe. If I can help you in your walk in privacy or security or Web3, or if you would like a free book or just a friend to chat with on a day that I haven't been in a car wreck, I would absolutely really love to meet you all. And I absolutely pray that you guys have a fantastic day. So that's definitely all I have for you guys, and reach out to me if you need anything. And I just want to tell Anne Marie, thank you so much. And I'm sorry that this was kind of a rough speech for me because of a little bit of trauma there. Definitely could use your thoughts and prayers, and definitely love you all for being so great to me. Thank you so much.